I can't tell if life is making me become the old man that yells at clouds, like, back in my day, or if, it's being done to me. I don't really know what's going on. I want to start by saying positive things about this before I dive into the negative. And by the way, I will say that this is probably one of the worst episodes of Star Trek maybe that's ever happened. Maybe, or it's close. It's one of the cringiest for sure. And there's been some cringy ones, man, was this hard to deal with. But let's start with the positives. First of all, the singing and the musical aspect of it was executed really well as far as the musical from the beginning to end, and trying to do that on a spaceship. That's pretty crazy that they were able to do that. And it worked out for the most part. The songs were pretty good. I actually really liked the songs, and they all made sense within the character stories, I guess. So to me, that was pretty good. All the singing was really good, even by maybe the people that maybe weren't as good at singing. I couldn't tell. Everybody seemed like they could sing. Some people obviously sing better than others. Some of them are singers, so whatever. But anyway, that's about all that I have to say that's good about this. I have one more thing. The controversial Klingon part at the end, that is one of the most cringiest and not Star Trek things ever. But it's also one of the funniest things. And if that had been in like the Orville, it would have been really funny. Like, I would have died laughing if that was the Orville. Do you know what I mean? That was such an Orville moment. But it seems like what I wanted from the Orville was all the sci-fi serious stuff from the Orville. I wanted that brought into Star Trek, because that was Star Trek. But instead, it seems like what they brought from the Orville into Star Trek is the comedy part. That's not what we want. Anyway, so that's about all I have to say that's good. And after this, I mean, bro, this is just awful. The science of this doesn't make any sense. There's a subspace tear of this thing, and we're in a parallel universe. It's just, none of it made sense. The science is terrible. It's trash. It's lazy. This show is written, in my opinion, by teenage drama students. These people are all teenager drama students. They must have no life experience. They must be people that are in their late 20s, early 30s or something. Maybe even early 20s. I don't know, man. But this is written by people that are delusional. And they don't know Star Trek for sure. This is Discovery all over again. Everybody has feelings, and it's all about feelings, and your feelings, and my bad story, and the singing. Dude, this will be the last episode I watch. So I've said that before, and I keep creeping in to see what's going to happen. I cannot watch this anymore. It's over for me. And unfortunately, the show is popular enough, I feel like, that it's going to go on, like I said, for maybe 5 to 7 seasons. Maybe. I looked at the popularity of it. It doesn't beat PICARD. PICARD is in yellow right there, highlighted in green circles. You can see the blue right there is this past month of Strange New Worlds. And you can see how Strange New Worlds beats Star Trek PICARD, but it doesn't beat PICARD. So when people search for Star Trek PICARD, they just type in PICARD. So you can see that was the most commonly searched thing for PICARD Season 3. It wasn't PICARD Season 3. It wasn't PICARD Star Trek. It wasn't Star Trek PICARD. It was PICARD. So that is the most popular term. I searched Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, SNW. I tried everything. It doesn't come close to PICARD. But it does beat out, Discovery and that sort of thing. So there is an audience that's bigger than Discovery for Strange New Worlds. There's just, why is Kirk on the ship all the time? Kirk is just always showing up on the ship. Captain Pike's girlfriend is always showing up on the ship or in an episode. The episodes are all fairly, they don't really, what happened to Captain Pike? Captain Pike is barely ever focused on in this season 2. I like how the Klingons don't even really have a bridge. It was just some crappy green screen with an endless hallway that they used. That look on Pike's face right there is my look watching this episode. My wife almost threw up on herself and said that she doesn't know if she can watch any Star Trek anymore. I called her bluff on that. I don't think that's true. There is, I don't. Even though this was a sing-along musical episode, I thought maybe they wouldn't end up demeaning Spock, or maybe Spock wouldn't end up saying sorry. Because if you don't know, every episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Spock says, "I'm sorry." And he means it. He says it constantly. "I'm sorry. My fault. I made a mistake." He's always apologizing. All the time. Sorry, 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 Spock. Well, he said it. He was sorry in this episode. He sang, so he was sorry. Everybody else is singing, and that was okay. But when Spock sang, he's like, "I am sorry." It's like he's always sorry. You're always sorry. He's always sorry to a woman. Always. Go watch the app. You don't believe me? Go watch it. Let's tune in to the Popcast, my friends over there, and see what they're saying about it.
How about that?
Right.
Yeah. So
Wrapped in enigma.
Right. No, there's beings that live in subspace. Star Trek has taught us. Like, there's beings that live in subspace. So what's a subspace? Well, anyways.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Isn't no, that's the wormhole aliens. Isn't it the wormhole alien? You're right. The emotion, the personal drama between all the characters, that's the most important thing here. Not the science, not the exploration, not the actual Strange New Worlds, not the actual Star Trek of it, but the connection between the characters. That is the most important part. I saw the Klingon thing, by the way, Archmage. I saw it, bro.
And you know what?
And so what ends up happening in other Star Trek episodes and other Star Trek seasons is the crew initially is thrown together. They don't know each other, but they operate professionally in their Starfleet, and maybe some people know each other, maybe some don't, but they're pretty much all beginning to bond as a crew, and they're beginning to learn each other as a crew, but they don't talk about that every 2 seconds, and they don't have all these personal inner dramas and things like that. What happens is we just gradually become that way from all of the experiences they go through. But in this show, there's just drama from the beginning. Like, we're 2 seasons into the show, and there's already a history and a lineage of drama between everybody about everything. There's trauma, drama, relationships, feelings from everybody. But, like, if you go back and watch Star Trek The Next Generation, the first season is mostly, thing of the week, problem of the week, and they're very cold characters actually for a while. And certainly this had to do with the writers changing in Star Trek The Next Generation, but over the course of the next 2 to 3 seasons, do you know what I mean? 2 to 3 seasons, the crew starts to really be bonded, but they don't talk about it, their feelings of being bonded with each other like crazy. In fact, Captain Picard, it isn't until, the end of the series that he sits down at the poker table and says, "I should have done this a long time ago," And they all, "You're always welcome to." And it's sort of like, it's like it's like they're not in their faces about, "We're a crew, we're the best crew, we're in science." Like, it's so, oh my God, bro. I'm telling you, it's teenage drama students are writing this show, bro. It is so cringy and terrible. Like, they have to tell you, this is Discovery territory. This show is now as bad as Discovery. Like, it's that bad. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But that is, the way it is. I guess this is what Star Trek is now. I don't know what the movie, the companies will close, things will shut down. Eventually, the show will run stale, Or you'll have a bunch of people who just, and you know what? This reminded me of a cartoon. This was, but not this episode. Forget this episode. Throw out the musical episode. Strange New Worlds is reminding me of Lower Decks. Every week I go, this is like Lower Decks come to life in a way. It's like a little bit of Lower Decks. It's comedy, or it's weird. And then they actually did a crossover with Lower Decks where the cartoon came to the show, but it worked. And part of why it worked is because the show is kind of cartoony. You know, it's kind of ridiculous. And part of me at first was like, well, there's some room to do some silly stuff like this because the original series had some campy, cringy sort of things. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't watch the original series season 3 that much. I really don't. I watch a lot of season 1. I watch a good amount of season 2. And I watch some episodes of season 3 from the original series. And some of it is very, very cringy. And I've always thought that even when I was a little kid. Abraham Lincoln on the show, at one point. I mean, there's a bunch of goofy stuff, especially season 3. So, like, and the fact that this show takes place around when the original series took place, some of that goofiness and crazy, campy, weird stuff that could pop out and be silly because it's not like the Next Generation, right? Like the Next Generation and the original series kind of like are half alike. Like the serious stuff, the science stuff, the good stories, they relate in that way. But in the way of other things, they don't. Like they don't seem, but they seem more connected than this show. This show seems to go completely off the rails and jump the shark. That's my opinion. I thought it would be okay because it'd be a little silly sometimes because the original series was a little bit like that. So, okay, they could do a little bit of that too. They could be a little more silly or weird or do some weirder things than TNG did because TNG got a little more like serious and stuff because like we progressed as people even more that we're like a little more boring because we're so perfect. That's kind of what I always looked at it like. Like we're so perfect and sort of like in this close to utopia world that, people become a little bit boring. People don't go around offending people and being over the top and stuff like that. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know, but it did seem to be like that in Star Trek that like, that's why when you saw a character that was more like us today, you were like, oh, wow, people like that still do exist. It didn't seem like they did. It seemed like everybody's just a smart scientist, But, in the original series, there was some of that too. But I just think that Uhura is like pumped up singing. And stop calling her Nyota. Why are they calling her Nyota everywhere? Nyota. Her name isn't friggin' Nyota. It was never Nyota in the show ever. She was never called Nyota. She was Uhura. Now suddenly she's Nyota because J.J. Abrams called her by a different name in the movies. So now she's Nyota everywhere. Oh my God, bro. It's like, what? Stop it. Why are they calling her Nyota more? Oh my God. Captain Pike is like a goofy idiot, like in this show now. He was. Anyway. The science makes no sense. Make some effort. This is why, dude, go back and watch PICARD Season 3 and think about all the people that were nitpicking PICARD Season 3 about the science and where things could really be and the distance traveled doesn't make sense sometimes and some of the things don't make sense. And now I want you to realize how nitpicky that really is when you talk about a giant zipper in space of subspace that opened up and makes them sing from a parallel universe that's pulsating its parallel universeness out into all the ships and all the people, and they're singing Broadway musicals. Bro, this show is asshole AIDS. I want to be dead. I actually thought season 1 of Strange New Worlds was all right. And I was like, okay, I hope it gets better. Man, it went the opposite way. We're in Discovery territory. I am done. I can't do it. I will never watch another episode of this show again, unless for some reason Terry Matalas took it over. Because I'll never watch Picard season 1 and 2 again, but I'll buy season 3 on Blu-ray. But I will never watch this show again. I mean, this is really bad, bro. Great songs though. I like the songs. I like the songs. It's not Star Trek though. This is like something out of my nightmares. I watched some of the parts again, couldn't believe it. The reaction online today it's weird, man. Some people love this show and some people hate it. So it's like I don't know what to tell you. Like I can't speak for all of us because half the people seem to love this and half the people seem to hate it. I don't know. Leave in the comments. Let me know what you think. I haven't made a video on this channel in a while. People have been asking me. The Klingon part was both the worst thing I've ever seen in Star Trek and yet hilarious. So I don't know what to tell you. If that was in the Orville, it would have been really funny. Especially if it was like the Klingons doing it and it was like a parody of Star Trek. That would have been funny. Or if this was on Star Trek, the SNL, that would have been funny. But this was actually in Star Trek. That's not funny. That's not good. So it's like singing, great. Songs, great. Klingon part, comedy parts, funny. Is this Star Trek? No, and it made me hate myself. So I'm even confused, guys. I don't know what to tell you. But at least Spock apologized in this episode, too. So the streak is still alive. 13 episodes in a row for Spock apologizing. I'm out of here. Leave in the comments. I don't know. Save us, Terry Matalas.